This is Mac OS Ken.
Ming-Chi Kuo posts iPhone SE expectations, a slew of AI and Apple Intelligence news, and downtown Detroit is officially getting an Apple store. It is Monday, the 17th of February, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Incogni. Take your personal data back and get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSKen at incogni.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Apple is launching something this Wednesday, with most expecting a new iPhone SE at the very least. You can apparently add TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo to that list. Either that or his post on Twitter was amazingly coincidental. The analyst hit the hell side on Friday, offering his predictions and expectations. According to the post, Apple's expecting to ship 12 million of the budget-friendly model through June, then another 10 million through the rest of the year. That 2025 expectation of 22 million units is a little over 2 million better than previous SE units. He says those have had annual shipments of just under 20 million. The new model will help juice iPhone shipments through the generally soft spring and summer quarters in his estimation. It'll also increase the penetration rate of models supporting Apple Intelligence, so I guess he's expecting that too. Something he said before that has sort of fallen off my radar. Ming-Chi Kuo expects the new iPhone SE to sport a cellular modem made by Apple. Well, designed by Apple. He thinks that could lead to Apple paying patent licensing fees to Qualcomm. If so, I really hope that's because Apple has made a deal with Qualcomm to do so, not because of some lawsuit that the tech world will be talking about for freaking ever. News last week of Apple's partnership to bring Apple Intelligence to China was music to the ears of Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote on Friday, wherein he pointed out that the biggest missing piece in Apple's AI launch has been its China strategy, which has been in a holding pattern until a Chinese tech partner was officially approved by Beijing and set to launch. It appears the day has finally come, with Alibaba emerging as the tech partner for Apple Intelligence in the key China region, along with Baidu also playing a role in this iPhone AI launch. When did Baidu fall into the mix? Around the same time Alibaba did, it seems. On Friday, Engadget ran a piece that mentioned the B word. That B word was Bloomberg, which mentioned the other B word, Baidu. While Alibaba will be its primary AI partner in China, Engadget says Bloomberg says Apple will also work with Baidu for certain features like visual intelligence, which lets users find information online by scanning items on their phone. That's lots of pieces and parts making it go. Still, the player's gonna play, and the hater's gonna hate. According to Mr. Ives, the haters will continue to hate on Apple, and that narrative has been around the last 5 years as the bears continue to underestimate the golden installed base of 1.5 billion iPhones and roughly 2.4 billion iOS devices. Assuming Apple Intelligence launches in China around April, Ives and company believe starting in the June quarter, iPhone growth returns to China with easier compares going forward into fiscal year 26. Yes, US-China tensions remain omnipresent, but Ives and his folks think a Cook-led Apple can navigate around or through as needed. Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is a street high $325. So last week, word was going around that Apple was going to hold a press briefing or press briefings tied to Apple Vision Pro. 9 to 5 Mac had that rumor, which may have evaporated. There seems to have only been one Apple Vision Pro story in the last couple of days. This one from, surprise, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. Reuters had Mr. Gurman saying over the weekend that Apple plans to add a better guest mode for the headset, as well as, wait for it, Apple Intelligence. Huge if true. Marques Brownlee liked the hardware and Samsung's answer to Apple's headset well enough, but the thing he could not say enough about in his Project Muhan first look on YouTube was the way Android XR folded in artificial intelligence. Whether we'll hear anything more from anyone who got the briefing, assuming anyone actually got the briefing, remains to be seen. Meanwhile, Gurman says both the new guest mode and the AI elements could turn up in a developer beta of Vision OS as early as this week. And now the bad news rumor for Apple's whole AI thing, again with Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who says the revamped Siri for which the world is waiting may be pushed back. Cult of Mac walks us through this one, which quotes Gurman as saying, Apple's long-promised overhaul for the digital assistant is facing engineering problems and software bugs threatening to postpone or limit its release. Gurman says the AI-infused virtual assistant may be pushed to iOS 18.5 rather than iOS 18.4 as expected. Then again, that expectation is apparently on us. The cult points out that Apple never said that it would be out in iOS 18.4. Rather, it was leaks and supposition that had that happening then. Publicly, the company was much more vague according to the report, just saying the new features will be out in 2025. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Incogni, helping you take back your personal data. From shopping habits to employment history to full names and addresses, there is so much information about all of us online. It can be used to target us with ads. It can be used to decide some insurance rates. It can be used to steal our identities. But we can have that info taken down if we know who has it, if we know how to ask them, and if we have a lot of extra time. Or we can work with Incogni. Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf, requests removal of your personal data, and deals with any objections the brokers have. Of course, data brokers just keep collecting and selling our information. That's why Incogni runs repeated removal requests. Whenever a new record is created, Incogni is ready with another takedown request. All you have to do is create an account, let Incogni work to get your info removed, and breathe a little easier. Since I started with Incogni a few months ago, they've sent 220 requests on my behalf, saving me over 130 hours at least. And they are still working for me. Let them do the same for you. Take control of your data privacy today with Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSCan at incogni.com/MacOSCan. That's a great savings, and it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. INCOGNI. Get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSCan at incogni.com/MacOSCan. Detroit, Rock City, apparently has an Apple store on the way. Apple Insider says the Cupertino company has now confirmed long-standing rumors that it will open an Apple store in downtown Detroit, Michigan, maybe as soon as this summer. The store, Apple Downtown Detroit, even has a website. Oh, there's nothing on it, except the message, Apple Downtown Detroit is now hiring. Imagine what you could do here. Learn more about the different roles, benefits, and growth opportunities in Apple retail. Apple Insider refers to that as a general recruitment notice. There are no specific job positions listed, according to the report. And finally today. This is not news, but it's kind of neat. When Apple TV added Peanuts screensavers, I switched my device to them just to see what they had to offer. I've left it on that because the cat. Almost nothing on screen grabs the cat's attention, but the frolicking Snoopy and Woodstock, yeah, she's transfixed. Now, if you've not tried that screensaver, it's basically a few cartoons featuring Snoopy and Woodstock up to various things. Snoopy is a frustrated writer with Woodstock making a nest of the crumpled pages Snoopy has thrown away, the two of them as astronauts off in space, stuff like that. I will say, it has seemed to me that they were being changed quite a bit, though I couldn't really say for sure. I mean, after the first couple of times, I barely paid attention to the screensavers themselves. Certainly not as much as my cat has. So the other night, Friday night, Valentine's night, I was working on a project in the living room. Didn't really feel like having a movie on, so I fired up my favorite Doing Artwork playlist on Apple Music. 07 plus 7 is the playlist, which you can find by searching for me on Apple Music. Now, I was playing that through Apple TV, which goes through an okay sound system. After a few minutes, the Snoopy screensaver kicked in, and it was Valentine's Day for Snoopy and Woodstock. Not all of the cartoons were Valentine's Day, but at least a couple of them were. Snoopy's doghouse covered with Valentine sticky notes was one, and a ton of Valentine's cards for Snoopy falling out of a mailbox was the other one I remember. That one actually ended in a really sweet way. Here's the thing though, special lady friend and I were watching TV late into the evening. Don't worry, we did romantic date stuff on Saturday. But we were watching TV late into the evening when, after midnight, I realized the Valentine screensavers had stopped. They were Valentine screensavers for Valentine's Day. It's not news, as I say, but it showed a kind of whimsy and attention to detail that I honestly thought Apple had given up on. macOS Can, brought to you by me and sponsored by Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan with code macOSCan at incogni.com/macOScan. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOScan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.